Alright, things in the game that I would change if I was Dondi. First of all, the Pteranodon. I would give it the ability to regenerate stamina while gliding. And to prevent it being exploitable for scouting, you would have to glide for about 10 seconds before stamina regeneration actually kicks in. I would increase stamina regeneration when sitting and make it twice as fast as it is currently. I would also return the ability to regulate your speed as before, with Z to fly slow and Shift to fly fast without having to hold the keys and burn stamina. Also, I would return the option to build altitude at shallower angles to conserve stamina. A slow PT won't be able to scout as effectively, also having to glide for 10 seconds before you get your stamina regen also reduces scouting potential. A combination of this would fix the Pteranodon instantly. Diabloeratops. I would fix the hitbox issues that allow the Diablo to hit a bit too far in front of it. Additionally, the same is true for the sides next to its head, left and right. I would make sure that does not hit if it does not physically touch you. I would also fix the hitbox on the trash attack so it no longer hits things that are behind it. And I would just, fine tune that entire hitbox, basically, so that it becomes deadly from the front, but very approachable from the flanks or its rear. I would carry these changes out on Trike as well, because basically the Trike hitbox is an upsize of the Diablo. So by fixing the Diablo, you could also fix the Trike, and any other Ceratopsian that comes afterwards should automatically fall in line. Cephalosaurus. I would give it a new bonk attack, fresh, new and shiny, and replace the current one. There's a good chance that it solves the unfixable uphill bug just by having an entirely new version of it. I would also drastically lower the recovery time that you have when you do a bonk, so no longer that you hit and stand there for 3 seconds, at least it feels like 3 seconds. I would also add a resistance to fractures right after receiving one that lasts for like 4 seconds, so that you cannot receive 2 fractures from getting knocked over once. I would also add a 50% chance to get a fracture on an alt attack, so that the Becky is more threatening and does not get run down as easily as it does today. Its low HP should allow this to be balanced. The Carnotaurus has several things I would change. I'll just start somewhere. For starters, I think the ram hitbox should no longer be an active hitbox, but this has already been planned by the devs. This is actually their solution to fixing Carno. But I would also deactivate the ability to ram when the Carno stops instead of instantly activating it when it starts running again. A new ram should require a new press and a wind-up time of 1.5 seconds to reach max speed, and the ram should only activate if the Carno is at max speed, no longer from standing still to 100 like an absolute bullet. I would also decrease max group size to 2, but I would increase its weight back to 1.8 tons. Ram should inflict its CC effect consistently without having to cover a lot of distance, because if you need to time the attack, then the reward should exist consistently. It should also get more food from killing smaller prey, so that they do not have to go on an absolute murder spree. I would also buff the knockover to allow it on the same weight or below, stun the target otherwise, and self-stun only if the target exceeds double the Carno's weight. Drio. I would fixate on getting Drio's missing mechanic, burrowing, and I would make a system for it instead of working on new plans and AI. Then my beloved, the Omniraptor. I would reduce the 2 seconds forced bouncing down to 1 second. I would also reduce its bite cooldown by 1 second. And I would fix the bounce bugs as fast as possible. I would also add changes to the solo pin, where based on weight you have a chance to break free. I would change the pin down animation to put the creature on its back so it can kick the raptor off with its feet, and the closer in weight you are to the raptor, the higher your chance to break free. Seratosaurus. I would remove insta-vomit entirely and instead replace it with the vomit sickness that gets applied. That gives players a chance to vomit once they get sick, and they would vomit if they would try to eat while having the sickness, so they would not be able to utilize gastronomic regeneration in a fight, while the Sera would remain strong on a body buff. Also, it would create incentive to pull out on a Sera and find a salt rock before you actually vomit. You might as well try to kill the Sera if you do insta-vomit to repair the damage done to your food value. So I don't think that incentive is currently working. I think vomit sickness would do a better job. Then we have the Dinosuchus. I would add a mechanic that allows them to interact with bigger prey where you can grab onto something. Raptor has spawn slots. I figure we could add grab slots to the legs and the neck. And if more than one Dino grabs onto a prey and overpower it with weight, an animation would play that allows the Dinos to move together with the prey item to drag them into the water. And where it goes from there, I have not decided yet, so give me ideas. And then several map changes I would make. I would go over all cliffs and rocks and make sure that bigger dinosaurs cannot casually walk up a mountain anymore, while leaving little edges that benefit jumping, flying and climbing dinosaurs. I would also reduce the amount of strong camp spots. I would connect all tunnels, even if it's just a placeholder. I would also add more cave systems, because they are simply amazing. I would change the location of herbivore food to favor spawning in an open area to incentivize herbivores to go into the open. I would place AI in jungles and areas with dense vegetation in contrast. And then some game loop changes I would make. I would reduce the potential for AFK growing by creating a sand meter that, if gone beyond a certain threshold, makes a player detectable by sand. This would gradually happen as a player does not move for a long time, and the stink range would slowly increase until capping out, allowing for predators to find people who are hiding. This will motivate traffic and should put subadults at risk once again. I would also add small AI like lizards and dragonflies and shit to human structures that give all diets to carnivores. This should be a cool addition for when humans are playable and finished. I would also reduce the chance for a herbivore to body camp by making the herbivore player slowly feel sick while on a body. This will start to build up as soon as a body gets a scent. Until it gets a scent, the herbivore is unaffected. I would also cap the effectiveness of it based on weight. If a corpse is below a certain weight threshold, it will not be able to affect the herbivore, and this is to prevent issues during nesting and having offspring die. And then some latency changes. If you are above 100 ping, I would disable your lag correction and completely favor the low ping player, so that you no longer have to deal with unfair situations. Also, latency issues would get solved, no longer getting ball without taking damage, and I would remove this mechanic entirely. It was brought in to compensate unfair situations, but with the new knockover cooldowns it has lost its meaning, and I would just scrap it entirely. I would also find a way to better optimize the game and tackle desync as much as possible. Yeah, this is what I have for now. Do you have an idea? Let me know. And maybe this will have a part 2.